At the Call of Duty Next event, we got our first preview of Warzone 2.0, and it looked great. But there are a lot of changes that we need to talk about, because a lot of people watched the event and literally went, what changed with Warzone? So today I'm going to tell you everything that changed, from loadouts to armor to field upgrades to perks, even to killstreaks. And the only way I can describe that Warzone 2 production is like this. At some points in the production of Warzone 2, I think the developers confused change and improvement. Improvement is producing something better by maintaining its original base. Like they improved the armor system. When you drop into Warzone 2, you're going to start off with 2 plates of armor on your body and 2 plates in reserve. However, the only way you can get a 3rd plate is by getting an armor satchel. This kind of levels out the playing field, because I can't tell you how many times I've dropped into a game without any spare armor and had my armor broken for the first 5 minutes of the game until I found some more. This kind of balances the game out a little bit more and makes it a little bit better for strategy. However, on the other hand, there's change. Change is producing something new or similar, but at its core, at its base, it is different. That's what I feel like they did with loadouts. The basis for loadouts has completely changed. No loadout is going to be guaranteed in Warzone 2. And there's kind of a couple steps that you need to know to build a loadout for Warzone 2. First off, you have to make the class that you want in Gunsmith. Then once you get into game, there's only 3 ways that you can actually get your loadout. You can buy the weapon itself from a buy station if you get enough money. If you already have the weapon by itself at its base, like an M4, then you can take it and upgrade it at a buy station to your loadout class. And the only other way to do it is to go to a stronghold. You have to clear out the stronghold and you'll be able to get your weapon. And each tier that you go up, you'll be able to get better weapons or better loot from your actual stronghold clearing. Overall, this kind of becomes a little bit more convoluted than it needed to be, because you now have multiple steps required to get a loadout in Warzone instead of just picking up a package and running with it. Another reason they changed this that I would count as an improvement is the removal of perks in Warzone 2. In Warzone 2, you will get zero, zilch, not a single perk in the game. Perks removal is great because of one reason: it balances the game for everyone. No longer will anyone have a tactical advantage for having ghost or faster weapon swap or more tactical sprint. The game will be about hitting your shots and moving tactically. However, Call of Duty has said that they might introduce perks later on in the life of Warzone 2, but it's not planned to be there at the initial release. And the only reason I can see that perks come back in Warzone 2 is that there's a massive outcry by the player base for perks. Although the lack of perks to me makes a lot of other things more potent and more deadly in Warzone 2. Field upgrades are going to be a lot more important in Warzone 2.0. Things like the sonar device, a small UAV you can put down in a building to find out where the enemies are, especially if they're camping or hiding in a building for a long time. You can use this to know exactly where they are and get their number and get their tags. Then something else like Dead Silence. Dead Silence won't activate High Alert because they have the perk. There won't be any High Alert. Dead Silence will be a lot more potent because you'll move silently for 15 seconds, and the only way that they'll be able to hear you is if you jump or mantle on something. Field upgrades are going to be a lot more important to your gameplay in Warzone 2, and I think this is a huge improvement because field upgrades didn't really have much of a use in Warzone other than the occasional trophy system usage or Dead Silence. In Warzone 2.0, all the field upgrades are going to be a lot more important to the gameplay itself. And field upgrades aren't the only thing they're getting buffed because of the lack of perks. Killstreaks are also going to have a massive improvement in the game. There's going to be a little bit more killstreaks and they're going to be a little bit more potent, last a little bit longer, or have bigger attack radiuses. Things like the UAV in Warzone 2 will be a lot more potent because you won't be able to hide from the UAV because you have Ghost. You'll see exactly where everyone is on the map, including all of the AI. This is all going to make killstreaks a lot more valuable in Warzone 2 because they'll be a lot rarer, a lot more expensive, and they'll be a lot more powerful in the gameplay itself. But let's talk about the AI like I mentioned a second ago. The AI being introduced in the game are a great idea, but bad execution. Like, really bad. The AI do want to stay alive, like they've told us. The AI is very engaging. They will turn and point towards you and keep an eye on you no matter what you're doing. But as far as actually engaging you and fighting you, they don't do much damage. They are really bad shots unless you're about 3 feet away. They're the Call of Duty equivalent of stormtroopers. However, the important part to remember about Warzone 2 is it's still an alpha, so they have time to fix the AI. And some things like I'm about to show you in this clip right here with AI in the game make absolutely no sense, but are kind of funny. But I'm almost sure that they're going to fix this and improve this in a way that we're not expecting. However, another thing that's a change and an improvement, and I'm not really sure how to evaluate it, is the brand new gas closing system in Warzone 2. So first off, we're not going to have gas, we're going to have a massive sandstorm that closes in around you. But once you get to the third circle, it will actually split up into 3 smaller circles in different areas, and each of these areas will be blocked off from one another. Now this seems like a great idea because it pushes everyone together and gets them in a lot more firefights. However, if you're the only team in a circle, you basically sit around doing nothing for 5 minutes because you're waiting for the circle to close back together. I think there will be a way to improve this, like having a gas mask or some type of covering that allows you to move from one circle to the other because they're so close. I'm not really sure what the execution on this is, but it definitely leaves some room for improvement. Overall though, I'm not sure how to evaluate at this point. It's kind of a good idea and kind of a really bad idea at the same time. Although one thing that Warzone 2.0 changed, and I'm not really sure why they did it, is the new looting and backpack system. It's very, very convoluted in every sense of the word. There's a lot better execution for this. So to start out with, the loot doesn't get thrown out of the box on the floor like literally every other battle royale game out there in the market right now. You have to manually go through the loot on the Warzone crate and select which ones you want, like I'm showing you here. This just slows down gameplay, and I'm not a fan of it. It's something that could definitely be improved by just throwing the loot on the ground. And on top of that, the new backpack system makes it a little bit harder to use because with a backpack, you only have limited space. And the only way I can describe the backpack system is that Call of Duty is just trying to rip it away from Apex Legends. It's very similar to what Apex Legends has, and the only reason I can think they're doing this is because they want to pull away some of Apex Legends' player base. Call of Duty has really just shown this new looting system is a little more convoluted than we needed. It does give you the opportunity to have more AR or SMG loot if you're only using an AR and SMG, so you don't have to carry around extra loot like shotgun or launcher ammo or sniper ammo like you did in the last Warzone title, but the execution of it is very, very poorly done. I think there's a lot more they could do to improve this before the game releases. Definitely some UI improvements, just improve the way it functions, and just throw the loot on the floor like every other Battle Royale game. Everyone already loves this system and is very acquainted with it. We don't want to have to learn a new looting system because you felt like the need to change something. What I really gathered from all the information they've shown us in Warzone 2.0 is they're trying to cater to a very wide audience. They want to appeal to a lot of people simultaneously. I really feel like Call of Duty just confused change and improvement. Improvement is just producing something better, but it's still having the original base. That is what everyone wanted to see out of Warzone 2.0. And instead they gave us this game that is almost a complete change from what Warzone is. I think that they forgot what Warzone was at its core. Warzone was a game that defined the Battle Royale genre. It had 120 million players at its highest point. And I really don't think you can evaluate Warzone and say that Warzone 2.0 is better. Yes, the game is more polished. Yes, there's more things you can do. But you're removing everything that made the game unique. You're just turning it into every other Battle Royale in the genre. However, the Call of Duty developers asked for feedback on Warzone 2.0. And with the way things have gone recently, I don't know if they're going to take it. But all the YouTubers and streamers who played Warzone 2.0 gave their honest feedback to the development team after the event. And then they told us those same opinions afterwards. And a lot of the same sentiments are shared across a lot of the same creators. There are a lot of people who didn't like the AI system or the very convoluted way that you're supposed to loot, and the removal of loadouts. Although recently the way Activision has been handling critique and just critical reviews of the game, especially with regards to Modern Warfare 2's betas and the lack of red pings on the map from shooting an unsuppressed gun, which literally was the #1 problem that everyone talked about on Call of Duty's complaint forum, they just didn't listen to it, and they basically told us we were wrong for suggesting it. I think if Activision sits down and looks at the critiques and looks at what the biggest problems people had about the game itself, and Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone 2, and made the changes necessary, the game would be a lot better off. However, I'm personally very excited for Warzone 2.0. I think it has a great potential to be very successful. I think there's some changes that need to be made, but I think it has a great potential. Although, I want to hear what you have to say. Tell me in the comments below what you think about the game. Do you think Warzone 2.0 is in a great state right now? Or what do you not like about it? What is your biggest complaints? I genuinely want to know what you think about the game, so tell me in the comments below. And until next time, I am IceBurgz, your Call of Duty informant. Stay frosty.